This conference will now be recorded.
As always, everything that we're going to be talking about today is for educational purposes only, and nothing is intended as any type of investment advice. All right, so we got a bunch of things, like I said, that are coming in. Unfortunately, most of our list that's coming into the afternoon, the fact if they just stopped trading wouldn't be shocking whatsoever. They made their moves, and volumes started to kind of die out a little bit. So that's just something that you definitely want to think about. So let's talk about this ORMP first. So we came up to 12. 12 was weak. I mean, you're talking about 3 12 aspirants that came into it. A little bit there, but based off, if you go into the chat room, you can see this 1190, 80, 1190 and then going to 1187. This right here is above its print personality in comparison. So we had a little bit underneath that leaked into 12. So we know that we're going to need a pullback. No real reaction afterwards. I mean, you had another 12, but there's just nothing to really take there. And the next largest burst, which we're going to have to take as the reaction, is that selling that came in. Now, overall, is 3 ask prints enough to expect us to come back over 12? Let's think about that. And I'm actually, this isn't rhetorical, I'm asking for an answer. Is 3 aspirants at 12 enough for us to expect it to come back to? Not even close. So when you have, first of all, you still have, they're not really controlling prints, but they still sort of fit because of the fact the print personality is very low. But after you get a way bigger print personality that sort of shows a short term, guess where it's got to go? So I don't see anything high probability, especially if we get a spike that comes in and brings this thing up, let's say 20, 30 cents. I'm not going to be able to believe in it. There just wasn't enough for it to be able to push into that. We got that staircase. We came back and it was just weak. We would see more buying in those cases. So be careful of any type of trigger back to the upside. And then obviously, we're going to be looking to continue on down, and the prints themselves kind of show it. I mean, it's just a mix of crap. There's nothing here that really stands out. You have a little bit of short-term prints that are coming close to that 11 level, but not really that much going on. So WKEY, next thing that we're going to be looking at, okay, this is a stock that still shows it has a little bit of ability to come back, and it's not going to let me go back into there. But coming into that 1350, it was a bit weak, but we actually, based on what we saw, a few prints going a long way, we actually have the ability to get back up to that 1350 point. Now, obviously, volume's going to have to completely change. Trading's going to have to completely change. We're going to need to see something at a minimum right here at about the 280,000, somewhere about right there. Okay, one thing that we can look at is this measured move really does have a lot more room to go into. But this 1250, if we look at it consolidated, if it breaks past that 1250, we're going to need to see almost brand new prints in order for us to be looking back towards that upside. There are shares available, and as of right now, shares are looking a lot better than using and actually buying into it because it still shows more room towards that downside. WATT, now this is an interesting one again. Some type of news had it came out. There was some catalyst that kind of pushed this thing back up to the 5 level. Yes, I understand that we have buying at 5. We have buying underneath 5. If you look at right here, they have 495 points. I mean, it's decent. This is one of those stocks that we're going to have to hold right around that 475 level. We don't want it to break 475, but a trigger to the upside, even though it's so close to that 5, still gives us a little bit of a higher percentage because of the amount of buying that came in above it. So would I use the full amount of shares to really load into it? No, not unless it goes back to what it showed us in the beginning where the catalyst came. We're going to need at least over 400,000 and then continue to show that. So when I say continue to show that, do we think wax? This is something that I wrote down the other day. And I say continue to show volume. Does that mean waxing volume? What do we think? Is it waxing volume? Or do we have no idea what I'm talking about? Well, comes to the day, volume does not need to wax to continue. Actually, waxing volume tells you that a trade has come. Well, not the trade itself, but the overall, in that moment, it's going to come down real quick at a certain point. Stocks do not wax forever. Cannot happen. When it's done waxing, stocks end up coming back down. So when I say that, I really just want to see, it could be a little bit lower, it could be a little bit higher, but I want to see something that's right around the same bar level. Because what happens once we get too big? Okay, if this thing jumps up right now and gives us 1 million shares, and that second bar doesn't come in, not going to sustain. It's going to end up coming right back down. So remember, we need to know what it has to look like in order for it to be a high probability trade. Don't get caught on one bar at 500,000 and then all of a sudden nothing happens afterwards, and then there's nowhere for it really to go. Okay, so we did ORMP, HOFV. I'm going to keep on our list. Reason being is because this is really my total reason. The amount of buying that came into this should have at least hit 6. Okay, my price target in my head, and you guys know I'm always conservative, so 6 was my actual price target, but 650 is, there's way more buying in this to then stop and not even test that 6. So what they knew is that if they tested that 6, there was going to be so much buying that came in, so they had to bring it down to buy. Now, is this really look sexy right now? No, but based off of that, I don't forget when we get to a spot what it showed us. So this trade itself should have at least minimum hit 6, then pulled back. But the fact that it didn't still gives this some life for us to be able to get back up. Obviously, double top is where we're going to be looking for our original game plan, because original price target, because they do know that the market makers came in right here at about 588, give or take, and brought it right back down. So it has way more buying than it needs to be able to break past. That's why it's going to be on our list. And then TKAT. Now this, oh God, it's already happening. It just never fails. Anyway, at 3801, they have not made their money. Not even close. Beautiful. Right now, 38 ask prints. Okay, I don't care that it's pushing up. There is a bigger spread, but there's a huge range that come into this. So it's shown so far that really doesn't need to pull back a huge amount, but it is still trading in $2. So based off these 38 ask prints, if we look at the actual print personality, this is absolutely huge. Has been following the rules fairly well, but it's still a bit of an exception. So from that 38 level, I'm going to be expecting at least 37 to come back down. But we have nothing holding us here except 40. If you come over on the daily, look, this is a breakout. So when we look at this high is 40.54, if it breaks above 40 on 40 ask prints, do not expect to make any more than 50 cents on that spot. But it's just that guy at 3801 is telling us over 40. By far, the print personality and the amount of prints that came in, by far telling us above 40. So definitely keep an eye on this. All right, guys, anything else out there that I missed? Nope. All right, beautiful. So let's get to it. We've had trading pretty much almost all day so far, so we don't need to trade them all. Let's make sure that we focus on it, just like we did this morning. We focus on the things that show the highest probabilities, and we kind of go from there. All right, I will talk to everyone in the chat, and happy trading.